Hi all, Brendan here, and today I'm going to be continuing to build in public, hands-on DevRel. I'm going to be building specifically the Hedera developer courses and talking about a little change in direction. So, the slide deck that we were using previously in Canva is out of date in terms of the theme. So there's a new theme and it's time to restart and use the new theme for the new videos and therefore the slides that we had to create to back that up. Now, in doing so, it's good that we discovered this new requirement during the spike stage of the project. It would be far worse if been halfway through or almost all the way through creating the entire course content and then having to redo the theme. But that highlighted one thing, which is that when you use Google Slides or Canva or any of these other visual what you get editors for slide decks, there is an inherent problem in that once you change the theme, right, it's actually a very manual process to convert the slides into the new theme. In theory, you can just switch the theme, but in practice, it always ends up a case of having to copy paste a lot of things manually because they don't quite line up. So I was trying to solve that problem, and I was going back to slide templates or slide presentation frameworks that were HTML based, which I've used before. You've seen them on my blog. I've been using Reveal.js. So I discovered, or I should say rediscovered Slidev, which I last used about 2-3 years ago, and it's a lot more powerful than it used to be. Specifically, one of the things that I was trying to do for the lab videos is to animate the code lines and like highlighting them and so on and so forth, which, is very tricky to impossible to do depending on exactly the animation that you prefer to do. Whereas a slide dev, it's got something called, for code blocks and syntax, right? It's got something where you can do the syntax highlighting and the line number animations, which you see in a lot of HTML-based frameworks, where you have got a block of text that is code, it's monospaced. The different words, depending on language, are highlighted in different colors, as are the various symbols such as parentheses and squiggly brackets, etc. Right? So it understands those based on language when it parses it, and it highlights them accordingly. So you can do that with highlight.js, etc. Now, line numbers is another thing where you say, okay, so I'm in a presentation framework, so I'm going to highlight the first line and then gray out the rest, or the third and fifth line and gray out the rest, for example, right? And then show them all, and then you click, and each time you click, you progress through those different lines that are being, the attention is drawn to them. Now, that's line highlighting. So what Slidev does is it integrates something called Shiki, which is far more powerful than the ones I had seen before, right? So you've got this thing called 2/, which allows you to actually inspect and underline and show the types of the code that's being displayed inside the thing, if it's TypeScript or JavaScript, which a lot of the code is going to be TypeScript or JavaScript. And then there's also Magic Move, where you can have multiple blocks of code and transition in between them, and the words that are in common, it's almost like there is a diff, and then the diff animates. And you'll see what I mean in a bit. And then you can also have editable and runnable code, which is something that I wasn't looking for, but is a nice bonus to have as well. So when you go to the Slidev, sli.dev, Slidev website, and you go to the guide, go to getting started, there is a way to do Slidev/new, right? Which I've done. This takes like a few minutes to load, so I've already done that in the background. And so what you have is the markdown file with the slides over here, and this is the rendered preview. I'm not going to mess around with this too much, but what I am going to do is take a look at this and run their standard or default presentation. So yeah, over here what I'd highlight is that if you hover over this bar at the bottom, right, you've got night mode and light mode, which is great. You've also got a camera view where I can turn on my camera. Not going to do that this time. And also I can record the presentation, right? So you've got presenter mode. Oh yeah, you can draw on the slide. You've got presenter mode, etc. You can even export to PDF, right? So you've got a whole bunch of features built into it. So that's cool. Table contents. Okay, so coming to the Shiki code blocks, which is something that I think is a real winner, right? So here we have code, and it's underlined, and we can see when we hover over it, we can actually see context sensitive toolboxes, right? We can see the types, etc. So this is something that we get in 2/, and we can even manually force lines to underline like this if we want to. But yeah, there's a lot of cool features. Now, let's see. So this is the Shiki magic move feature, which I talked about earlier on. So we can see there's step 1, right? And then see that, and then we go to step 2, and the words that were in common between step 1 and 2, or the lines that were in common, they just sort of animated and slid into the new position. All right, and then we can see how that animates again. So this, all you have to do is specify steps 1, 2, and 3 as 3 separate code blocks, and then it just works out what the animation should be automatically, which I thought was really powerful. All right, so you've got custom components, you've got themes, and which include custom layouts. And I think that this is pretty cool because we can define our own themes, and then later on, if we were to change themes, it's as simple as editing the theme file or swapping the theme name, and it'll work without modifying the actual content and not having to copy paste too many things. Click animations. So I thought that this was extremely useful, potentially for multiple choice questions, where in a slide we present the 4 different options to a question, and then when you click, it circles the one or underlines the correct answer, and that is it just looks visually very appealing, right? You've got some simple animation built-in features. You've even got latex and diagrams. So this might be useful, like if we have to show a flowchart or a sequence diagram, etc. It's nice to have that feature just built in. Drag and drop elements. Runnable code. So we've got the Fibonacci sequence outputting to the first 10 numbers. So let's change that to say 12, and then it automatically appends, runs it again, and the output includes 2 additional numbers. So again, that's pretty cool. And that's it. So I think the main draws of switching from a visual editor or GUI based editor for slides, such as Google Drive or Canva, to something like Slidev, specifically for the kinds of presentations or technical presentations that DevRel gives, is that the code looks a lot better and animates a lot better, because you can author those animations more precisely. And the second thing is that when the themes and layouts, etc., can and do change, and when that happens, you're not on the hook for massive updates. So that's the idea, and looking to do the next spike, which includes Slidev. All right, thank you. See you in the next one, where I continue to build in public.